one day, I sat down at my altar, I began to evoke Belial, and he came through, and I felt myself get so uncontrollably scared. Like, my heart was absolutely racing, my palms were sweating, I felt like I was burning up, and I thought, am I being like attacked by now by something else that isn't really Belial? And he was like, no. He was like, never approach me with fear again. That was my lesson. That was my cut the bullshit. You're a magician. Act like one. Hello everyone, my name is BlackWitchDirah. I am a Luciferian witch of the left-hand path and an occult educator. Welcome back to my channel. For those new here, on this channel I talk about a range of occult topics, mainly around demonology and the left-hand path, but also magic as a whole. So if this is something you're interested in and you'd like to see more from me, please consider hitting subscribe. I upload every Saturday at 8 PM UK time. In today's video, I want to talk about my experience working with Belial. But before we get into that, the usual announcements. Witch Skills soft launch coming up on the 30th of September, just a few days to go now. Super exciting. So if you haven't already, please consider signing up for the 2 weeks of free content. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It is very thorough and you are going to learn so much from just a very small amount of content. So if you'd like to take the opportunity, you still have time to do so. The link as to how to sign up is in the description of this video. As an occult educator, I have a range of courses and learning programs available. Courses on baneful magic, working with Santa Muerte. My latest kind of program is my workshop program that I've launched on my YouTube channel, which consists of a monthly workshop covering a different topic each month. There is also a Q&A, so that you can ask me your questions regarding the topic. Depending on the tier of membership that you are subscribed to, you also have the chance to get a monthly one-on-one with me, which included in the subscription price is a bargain, because the whole entire subscription price is less than what I charge for a one-on-one session anyway. There are a range of other perks as well, of course, so for more information on that, details are in the subscription, or you can just take a look at my channel. So, working with King Belial. Let's start with who is Belial. So, King Belial, also known as King Belial, is known to be one of the 72 spirits of the Lasakia Solomon, aka the Goetic spirits. He is ranked as a king. Historically, he was said to fall second to Lucifer in terms of the story of the fall. There's not a lot of history on Belial outside of the kind of Abrahamic stuff. His name does come up in the Bible, I believe in the Old Testament, but what we often see in the Bible is that demonic names are used more as derogatory terms or adjectives for other people, usually to describe thieves, liars, and so on. So when you see a demonic name in the Bible, that might be what it's referencing. But yeah, in terms of the history of Belial, there's not a lot outside of the kind of Abrahamic stuff. But in demonology, we know him to be Lord of the Earth. He corresponds the North, therefore the element of Earth, and he is honoured during the winter solstice rite. December, January time is said to be his time of year, and during this winter solstice rite, what we usually ask for is for him to help us banish, get rid of, let go of things that we don't want to bring into the new year, and to help us get on track with what we do want to bring into the new year. So that's kind of Belial's place in demonology. He serves as a kind of elemental demon. You know, we honour him with the solstice rite. But in terms of working with him on a personal level, this is something that someone might seek to do if they are looking for some real kind of transformation and spiritual alchemy to happen in their lives. Belial is often depicted as quite a scary demon. He's not usually recommended for beginners, which I understand. You definitely need to be ready for it. But at the same time, he's also really not as scary as he's made out to be. There are several demons that will make themselves appear scarier to the conjurer in order to test them, see if they can really handle it. And I'd be lying if I said that I hadn't nearly failed that test the first time that I worked with Belial. In fact, the first time I worked with Belial, he told me I wasn't ready. He told me to come back at a later time. The novice magician may not be ready to face certain aspects of themselves. Belial is very abrasive. He's very no bullshit. And this can be difficult to deal with if A, you're not really accustomed to working with demons as a whole, and B, if you find shadow work particularly difficult, or you haven't attempted to work on that at all. Now, what do I mean by shadow work? Because shadow work is a term that is thrown around a lot, but not a lot of people understand what that means. When I say shadow work, I don't mean going on Pinterest and looking up shadow work prompts. I don't mean answering a series of questions that make you look at yourself. Like, I'm not saying these exercises can't be helpful, but you know, if you answer 30 shadow work questions, what have you gained from that? How are you going to use any of that to actually make change in your life? It might have increased your awareness of yourself and your patterns, but there's no real alchemy there. The idea of shadow work is that it can't be seen. The shadows, the shadows are the things that you don't see. It's not the things that you're already aware of. What you think is your shadow right now is no longer your shadow because you're aware of it. Yeah, it does still kind of have this shadow element to it in the sense that that's where it came from, but the shadow is unconscious. The thing that you're aware of is no longer unconscious anymore because it has become conscious. So working with Belial can really bring out this unconscious stuff. It will be called out, and at first you may think, no, that's not me. What are you talking about? I'm actually quite offended. And then you look at it and you're like, ah, well, shit, you're right. So that's kind of what shadow work feels like with Belial. And what I'm trying to say is that the novice magician may be extremely uncomfortable, even scared when that does happen. Now, I probably, after my first evocation of Belial, I came back about 6 months later to evoke him again, and I was very nervous to do so, but I kind of established this sort of regular working relationship with him. But it just felt like every time I went into ritual with Belial, there was this sense of dread and nervousness, and like I had to really prepare myself to do it. Until one day I sat down at my altar, I began to evoke Belial, and he came through, and I felt myself get so uncontrollably scared. Like, my heart was absolutely racing, my palms were sweating, I felt like I was burning up, and I thought, am I being like attacked by now by something else that isn't really Belial? And he was like, no. He was like, never approach me with fear again. That was my lesson. That was my cut the bullshit. You're a magician. Act like one. And from then on, I never approached him with fear again. I'd felt the fear and kind of evaporated it. And then he became one of the most chilled out demons to work with from there. And he also has a real sense of humour as well. The thing about demons, right, is everyone thinks they're really sinister and serious, but no, they crack jokes. They've got a sense of humour. He continued to help me a lot and would very much point out things that I was doing in my life that weren't good for me, particularly when I was in certain phases of addiction. Yeah, he made it very clear his kind of stance on that, and he really helped me with victimhood as well. Now, victimhood is such a big thing. It's such a big thing. When you go through suffering in your life, you are a victim. You know, especially if you've been harmed by people or situations, and there's absolutely no fault of your own in that. We all have things that happen to us that we absolutely do not deserve. But whether we stay in the role of the victim, that is our choice. We are not victims after the event has happened. So, yeah, in certain circumstances I have been a victim, but it's a choice whether I carry that with me and still continue to identify as the victim. Why do people decide to carry on in that role of the victim? It's because despite the level of disempowerment that it brings, there is a kind of underlying empowerment in it as well, because it allows you to manipulate how people see you, how people treat you, and how you go about life. And it allows you to avoid responsibility for yourself. Therefore, victimhood is the lowest level of empowerment. And victimhood, oppression, is a currency now. Everyone's oppressed in one way or another, because that means that people don't have to take responsibility. Belial kicked that shit right out of me. Kicked it right out of me. I'm not special. I've not been through anything specially traumatic that, you know, no one else has ever been through, you know? That there's nothing special about me. I don't deserve any kind of special treatment for what I've been through, for who I am. One thing that really stands out in my mind was a very traumatic breakup that I went through, and how much that kind of fragmented my spirit, you know, down to that level of things. Not necessarily because it was about the relationship or the person, but because of how much it triggered the core wounds. And it took a really long time to understand that that was the reality of it, that it wasn't about this person, it wasn't about the relationship, it was my core wounds. Anyway, so I'm grieving. I'm very much in the anger stage of the grieving process, and I decide that, do you know what, I've sat with this anger for long enough, I've tried to deal with it myself and I feel like I can't, so I want to do something painful. So I get ready to start doing it, and Belial comes through out of nowhere. I didn't ask for his intervention, I didn't evoke him, I didn't do anything. He just came through and he just said, "What's this man actually done to you?" I was like, well, you know, he broke my heart. Like, you know, he left me, he broke my heart. And he was like, "Did he abuse you?" I was like, "No." "Did he cheat on you?" "No." Like, okay, you were in an adult relationship where both parties had the choice to leave if they wanted to, if they weren't happy, if for whatever reason it wasn't best for them. And that's what he did. Does he really deserve you cursing the absolute shit out of him because he made a choice that was best for him? And I was like, oh man, I thought you meant to be on my side. And that's the thing as well, right? Demons, they're not obliged to be on your fucking side because you work with them. You know, like I said, you're not fucking special. They'll tell you the fucking truth, and they will tell you when you are wrong. So yeah, no, that changed my entire perspective on the whole situation. I was like, oh fuck. So yeah, and that was difficult, because then I was even more confused about how to, like, where to direct my anger, because I was like, if he's not a bad person, if he's not the villain, then I don't understand this story that I've created. And that's the thing as well, we create these fucking stories based off of the ego, and working with Belial completely dismantled that fucking story and that whole illusion. In the Occult tarot deck, Belial is the Judgment card. We look at the tarot meaning of the Judgment card, it's like the truth being revealed. And I think that is just so apt with Belial, because he will always reveal the truth. The truth will always be revealed with Belial. Now, in that situation, you know, he advised me not to take the baneful route, but in other situations, he's been like, yeah, fucking do it. If you created something, you have every right to fucking destroy it, right? And what he meant by that was, like, you know, of things in our lives, situations, they are of our creation. Whether it's relationships, whether it's projects, whether it's, you know, whatever. It's just like, you created it, destroy it. Despite how abrasive and, you know, maybe a little bit cut and dry Belial can be, he is also very patient. He's definitely been patient with me in the sense that, like, you know, he'll tell me to do something and then I'll be like, yeah, sure. And then me and my brain and the way it works, I will forget. And then he'll be like, do you remember what I asked you to do 6 months ago? I'll be like, ah, fuck. And yeah, and then I'll go and do it. He has been very encouraging of me to always keep my autonomy as well. To always make sure that I am grounded in my sense of self, which is difficult for me. He always points out when I'm getting attached to things and how my attachments inevitably cause me pain in the end. Like, it's basically impossible to live a human existence without getting attached to something. And I'm not saying don't get attached to anything, but it's more so getting attached to illusions, getting attached to ideas and fantasies, and then when they don't work out, you're left heartbroken. You know, it's normal to get attached to people, family members, friends, like completely normal. But when we start getting ideas and we define ourselves by those ideas and then they break because they were an illusion in the first place, we end up in pain and unnecessary suffering. He definitely makes me think a lot about where I want to go, what I want to work on within myself. Definitely encourages a lot of discipline in me. He's certainly not a shoulder to cry on. He's not one of those demons you can go to. Like, I feel like with Astaroth, right? Like, yeah, you still need to acknowledge that Astaroth's nature as a goetic demon, but also she's a bit more kind of willing to listen to your problems a little bit and just has a bit more of a gentle approach at working through them. I've had Belial outright just go, do you know what, I don't fucking care. Like, just get on with the thing you initially came to me with and just like fucking shut up. Like, I don't give a shit. Working with him definitely requires a level of commitment. I just generally don't feel like he's one of those demons that you go to occasionally to work on something. Like, some people may take that approach. Personally, I just find that impossible. I don't know if that's just because I feel really compatible energetically with Belial and what he's about really aligns with the work that I want to do on myself and just generally in my life. But yeah, I feel like he's not one of those demons you can just go to every now and then and just be like, yeah, yo, like, help me out with this. Because he will always encourage you to kind of go to the next level with things. And therefore that makes the work with him kind of ongoing. I have a lot of trust in my work with Belial as well. Because like I said, the truth will always be revealed. So when I ask for his assistance with something in my life, I trust that what I gain, the insight that I gain around it, is going to be the truth. I have a ritual to do with Belial very soon, and I am thinking about making content out of that. You know, just as maybe like a little vlog thing. So yeah. No, actually, I am going to do that. I'm going to hold myself accountable and say it in a video that is what I'm going to do. So you can look out for that. You can see my work with Belial in action. Okay, so I'm going to leave this video here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my experience with Belial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. And I will see you next Saturday. Goodbye for now.